So let's look at some foods for a minute, okay? So we're talking about meat, meat, healthy, right? Well, when you look at two things, we're going to look at two things when we look at foods. We're going to look at the energetics of a food, which is the electromagnetic energy that's getting produced from all the movement of atoms and the magnetism of this. And then, of course, which reflects its chemistry. And then also we want to look at the chemistry of things. And I'm not going to get high in chemistry of things. Half of it I even forgot by now. But let's look at a simplistic look at some of these foods. Meat. All you have to do is get a knife and cut off a piece of your meat somewhere. Cut a piece of your hindquarters. Cut a piece of yourself off. That's exactly what meat is. It's a bunch of cells and two fluids. And that holds true with every creature. Bunch of cells and two fluids. And that's what you call healthy. Well, the problem is that as soon as something dies, putrefaction in terms of meat and blood comes setting in. Putrefaction, you can smell that pretty quick. How fast does fish stink when you pull it out of the water? Pretty quick, huh? And we consider that nutritious. We don't, but some people do. What do we got? We got a bunch of amino acids that have become peptides and polypeptides forming proteins. Well, now it's funny how the body has to then re-break that all down to amino acids, doesn't it? Because tissue is formed from proteins or amino acids, right? And amino acids then forms the peptides and polypeptides and then the protein, the meat, the structure. But when we go to eat that structure, what are we eating? We're eating dead tissue. We're eating a structure that's breaking down and rotting. And we like that. The blood, of course, whoo! Ever smell blood? Putrefactive blood? Not good. You ever smell a human dying? Not good. Not good. But we like that. Matter of fact, ask most farmers, most people like aged beef. That's 6 months, not 2 or 3. That's 6 months hanging on the hoof. We just cut off the mold, of course, that which is trying to break it down because God needs those atoms, of course. And yet we consider that good for you. High phosphorus, high iron, low cal magnesium, the opposite of what we want. If you go back and look at properly raised vegetables and fruits and berries, you will find properly picked right. All right, so we'll set that as the foundation. We already know we have crap foods in America. We already know people like Yaz in Thailand are sitting there gorging on some of the best food in the world. Spain having some of the best food. A lot of countries south of France having really good food. America, we've lost our caring for quality of food. I'm sure there's some farmers out there that are participating in that consciousness of quality. But they're a handful probably in the whole spectrum of things, and for some reason Florida seems to not get the good stuff. So here on protein, most people can't just go out and eat raw meat. There's nothing designed on a human that would give you an indication you're a meat eater. You don't have the desire to rip something apart, and matter of fact, unless it's on the Barbie, unless you put some spices or cook the crap out of it or whatever, it doesn't taste good. Now, some people like raw meat, no question. I've seen that. Nasty to me, because this is just putrefaction at its finest. And so we consider that healthy. Well, most fruits and vegetables are 70 to 80% base chemistry. That's your calcium, magnesium, your sodiums, your potassiums, your zincs. These are the alkaline chemistries. And only 20% acid chemistry. The ratio is dominant on the base chemistry side. The ratio of this air on this planet is dominant base, rapidly becoming acidic. And look what's happening. Lung cancer skyrocketing, deterioration of paints and buildings, mutation of fish and frogs just as the rain is pulling these acids into the lakes. When things get over acidic, deterioration and mutation takes place. It's not a brainstorm. It's easy to see that. So you're eating a food and meat predominantly acidic. Well, you don't hit your blood with a pH below 7.4, 7.3, or what's going to happen? The law of homeostasis, where now the body has to rectify that acidosis in a timely manner, or death is imminent. You can't run an acid blood without dying within a few minutes. Remember that. So when you eat a lot of high proteins, you're acidifying the blood. Well, see you later. Body has to find alkaline chemistry, base chemistry, and of course calcium is the predominant base chemistry of the human body. So it'll steal it out of your connective tissue, out of your bones, because you can't eat a high phosphorus diet and survive well. And yet medical doctors push that. That's the insanity of that particular modality. I mean, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right on down the line and see where the medical modality is living in a world far, far away and just crazy. They're ridiculous. You sit and listen what some of you guys have been through and some of my clients have been through, most of them. And it's just, it's sad. It makes you want to hang your head at the human species and the human intellect to see things that are so stupid, things that are so we allow to happen to other people. And what people do to other people, I think it's just atrocious. But we're a high meat eating society, which totally changes the molecular structure of things, totally changes the magnetic resonance of the body. This is why magnetic therapy is so beneficial for you. Because all this is magnetism. All this is pH. Remember, pH affects solutions and affects how everything functions, basically. All these different levels of pHs affect everything. It's amazing, and it's beyond comprehension. We in biochemistry all disagree, remember, and basically work on theories. Well, we don't have to go there because it's easy to see in clinical practice what raw foods do to people. And nowhere are you going to find cooked foods better than raw foods. Only when you're detoxing too rapidly and you want to slow it down or you want the body to stop healing itself, then eat cooked food because it's dead. At least vegetables carry some electromagnetic energy after it's cooked. Meat doesn't carry any. Alive, raw meat is just like you. It's vibrating with lots of energetics. But that rapidly changes as soon as death occurs. And that soul or that consciousness leaves that embodiment, then the body decays. Okay, that's life. Beans. What's healthy about a bean? It's a dormant food. It has high enzyme inhibitors to keep it from sprouting, which creates high phytic acid, which is very antagonistic to calcium, soy being one of the highest phytic acid foods on the planet. It's highly concentrated, very difficult to digest, high sulfur. Everybody has gas on beans. Really nothing nutritious there. Sprout it, and now we can have conversation. But you're back to the plant life. Good for herbivores, but we like that plant to sprout and then bear some fruit, and then that's what we like. And somehow the fruit understanding and the fasting got lost in this barrage of Hippocrates and all these people cousins who are teaching against fruits and pumping up the vegetables. That would put us in the line of herbivores. And I think if you sit down realistically and look at herbivores, horses, cows, elephants, rhinoceroses, giraffes, we don't fit into that syndrome at all. We have nothing like those vertebrates. We don't have a gut near the length of that. We don't have the multiple stomachs. We don't have the grinding teeth for the cellulose. There's nothing in the Homo sapien that represents that. And when we go and we think grasses have more nutrition than berries, something's wrong with that, because berries actually have far more nutrition than grass. And yet, you'll get a herbivore chewing down on that grass. Nobody messes with wild stallions unless you have a rope or a gun or something like that. There are some of these animals that are so strong, you better hope they're loving. And of course, most herbivores are loving, of course, because they're not meat eaters. I mean, let's look at milk for a minute. Milk, all right, if you pasteurize it, it's only a few molecules away from plastic. So, is that good? Plastic white stuff, goop, mucus? You know, after age 2, remember, after age 2, except for a few Brits, after age 2, most people have lost the enzymes to digest lactose. Lactase is gone. And milk is the most hardest food to digest. After the certain growth stage, protein, high protein and fat type milk isn't conducive to humans. Yes, we can argue goat's milk is a little better for babies than cow's milk. Cow's milk is horrible for humans. But, you know, we're selling it. The raw, now our government's trying to eliminate all raw milk. Well, you need to eliminate all milk because it's all bad for you. There's nothing good about milk, one of the most mucus-forming foods on the planet. And once you start getting tumors building up in your body and a lot of mucus in your sinuses, your head pressure's going crazy, then you can argue with me about milk. And do you still want to drink it? You know, and I'll show you. I'll clean your head out, and then I'll give you milk back, and I'll show you clog yourself right back up. Nothing healthy about milk. High fat, butter, raw butter, nothing healthy about high fat. There's nothing healthy at all. You have to have some essential fatty acids, no question about that, just like you have to have some amino acids. Carbon is the main print of humans, not nitrogen, and carbon is sugars. So you can't get around sugars. So you've got your milks, they're worthless. You've got your meats, I mean, they're worthless. I mean, this is unbalanced chemistry. Now, eggs. I've used raw, unfertilized eggs in highly depleted cases before. I have done that. I have. Cooking coagulates everything. So if you're going to argue eggs, then eat them raw. But I can say that any time of high protein, you'll smell your body stink within a quick order eating eggs. Notice how they stink and very putefactive. Raw, yeah, could be some nutrition in there, but is that good? And the flavonoids and all the good stuff you see in fruits, berries, and melons? No, nope, not at all. What else have we got? Breads, grains. Someone argued how grains are healthy for you. What is healthy about a grain? What is a grain? It's a polysaccharide. Now, polysaccharide is complex sugar. Is there something healthy about complex sugar? Hell, half the people are bitching about sugars in the first place. And then they're eating grains? That's complex sugar. That's a lot of fructose and glucose bonded together. High sugar. What else we got in there? Got a little germ in there. Okay, there might be some healthy things in germ. I used to sell wheat germ a lot in the wheat. But again, fairly dormant, concentrated foods in that respect. We don't give them to animals. Farmers don't give grains to animals unless they want to fatten them up and keep fat on them. Don't need to. You don't need to give corn to horses. They do well on grass. Nobody messes with horses that are eating grass out there. Strong horses are, they can be fearful. These guys are something else. These big ones, these 17 to 19 hand horses are pretty big. Race horses and the like. Big stallions out there. So grains, nothing healthy about grains. Have people lived on them? Yeah, people have sustained on them. They've had to. But check the difference between grain eaters and raw food eaters. Big, huge difference. And grain eaters look like grain eaters. You know, there's nothing healthy. Acidosis. And again, all the dog food, all the dog manufacturers are trying to put grain-free. Well, why would the grains are so healthy? Why are all the, like Purina and stuff, trying to get away from grains? They're not healthy. And a big reason why America is obese. You know, grains are bad, bad, bad. And they're mostly acidic except for quinoa and maybe millet. You know, you have some alkaline grain, but you still have a complex sugar on your hands. Not overly nutritious, enzyme inhibitors again, phytic acid again, all these other things again. Well, what's left there? Fruits and vegetables and berries and melons. So I hope this helps you to understand that a raw food diet is superior in every single way, in its chemistry and in its physics, in its electromagnetic energies. It is always superior. And this is what the gig is. This is the game right now. If you don't get with the rules of the game, you're not going to be able to get well. Patience, endurance, all these things play a role in the unwinding of generations of bad food eating, of cell deterioration, of heavy lymphatic stagnation. We have years of creating this, generations, of thousands of years of creating this. Now, we have to uncreate this. We have to get back to the living presence of life. Get into raw foods. No one's saying you're going to be a perfect raw foodist, and it doesn't matter. Because it's going to take, you know, a long time to unwind the human misery. A long time. Do not lose focus of truth. which is living foods, are always superior to anything else. And we don't have anything on us to show us in eating anything other than fruits, berries, and melons, and maybe some tender greens. No question that man could get away with that and is getting away from that with that. I don't have a problem with it, but why did we invent a juice extractor for? Get rid of the cellulose, didn't we? Because we don't handle cellulose well. Not at all. So I'm trying to educate and bring us all along here so you guys don't get caught up in the smokescreen, the illusion. Oh, it's the diet, it's the fruits, and it's the fruits that are doing this. It's the berries and melons that's doing it. It's the vegetables. I need to go over here and go back into the paleo diet. Or I need to go back in here and eat a lot of meat and stuff like that. You might need to for this. It's all about your consciousness. It really is. It's all about your state of consciousness and what you believe in, what you accept. All of that. That's why people that tear into this and understand this, they don't have the problems. Those people that go, well, you know, they walk with doubt. They walk with controversy. Don't walk with doubt or controversy. Walk with knowingness. Truth is a simple knowingness of what is and what is reality. Look into the mother. Look into the earth. That's the largest laboratory we have. That's reality. That's what's going on here. Not what man thinks, not what scientists think, not what biochemist thinks, not what UCLA thinks. These guys are lost in worlds beyond. They have no clue of simple reality anymore. So keep yourselves, strong in that way, because you're going to be fighting a lot of this around the world, and all these governments and all these people have been so brainwashed. People are herd cattle. And they've been herded down a road that the World Health Organization wants you to be herded down, like the World Bank's herding us all down the road they want us to monetarily. And we're walking down accepting everything they're doing. They're manipulating everything. They're making all these crises happen, let me tell you. And they've slammed people in debt. They love that. So we have to pull back, because spirituality, it's time to blossom and grow spiritually. It's time to share the love with each of us and to relax over this diet thing. There's some people that come into this that haven't come into this that just can't get it. Their minds are racing 1,000,000 miles an hour, and those people need to go do some fasting, meditation, and relax, and then come back and think about it. Because this site is for those that are healers. I'm building you all as healers, as many of you as you want, because we need you. People are suffering. And look at how many of you guys have overcome your suffering. It's just incredible. My heart is pounding big, because I'm just so proud of every one of you guys. Do not get caught up in these people that try to bring the smoke screen in, or those that got trapped in the illusion that didn't understand why they were having problems. That's why I'm doing this. Because it's time we get our head out of this ignorance and out of these misconceptions and start looking at this. All these foods. Look at nuts. Everybody thought nuts was healthy. Look at those of you that have found that that's not the case. There's a hard shell around a nut for a reason. Coconuts, obviously, incredible food sources, but all your other nuts, very complex foods of proteins and fats. Need very little if you use nuts at all. But when you're detoxifying, you get rid of these concentrated heavy foods, because you need astringents. You need foods that'll clean the body, refurbish the body. Well, now wait a minute. If you have to get away from proteins to clean and refurbish the body, why would you eat them in the first place? So I don't know. It's enough to say that balance is always important because of the consciousness of man, not for any other reason. And the consciousness of the cells in the human body, they don't know what living foods are. They don't know what electromagnetic energy is or higher consciousness is. Cells are being replicated on the old consciousness of omnivorish thinking and old family values and everything else. So your cells in your body, you're educating and uplifting the very cells in your body. And it just takes a while to get everybody on board, to get this anionic, dehydrated, coagulated fluid called the lymph system up and moving properly, and getting the adrenals to get the kidneys to filter again. That's what this is about. And once you do, boy, you start getting that balding going away. You start getting the pressure out of the heads. You start getting nerve regeneration, blood vessel regeneration, tissue regeneration of all kinds. That's what's exciting. But man has just walked down so many pathways, and there's so many books and so many opinions, blah, 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 blah. In reality, it's much simpler than that, guys. Very much simpler than that. Just eat your fruits and veggies and quit worrying about it. If you want green drinks, okay. I have no problems with any of these things, but in detoxification, people reach plateaus. We see this every day, and you guys that have sat in with me, you've seen that. I've showed you this, where you reach plateaus and people have to let go of their vegetables and dig deeper into the world of fruits and berries. This is what we see and what we've experienced. It took me a lot of years to get here. Because I'm a green guy, a vegetable guy. I have my salads, absolutely. But it took me a while to understand that it was holding us back when we had tumors that weren't breaking loose. It took me a while to get into that. And then when I started looking at all the fasting issues of the grapes and the lemons and of the waters, I realized just what the gig is. And studying the power and frequencies of fruits and berries and melons over vegetables, and the astringents and the antioxidants, led me down the road to really seeing it, and then applying that to humans in detoxification, and you see it every single time. There are some of you that are too sensitive to fruits. Okay, go slow. Go slow. Get your adrenals up. It isn't that the foods are bad. Here's the illusion again. Blame the foods. Blame the foods. No, don't blame the foods. Blame your body. Blame where you are at in your genetic stance and in your lymph systems. That's where the gig is, not in the foods. The problem with the foods is we don't have good quality foods in America, except for some farmers. I'm not bashing the farmers that are doing a good job out there, but I am bashing those that are not, because this is the food source. You're privileged to make the food source for humans, and you should respond with that accordingly. Here, I grew this for you. Blessed with all the blessings of the Supreme Being, or God, or whoever, of the Mother, whatever you equate to the Creator, or the power it to be, Spirit, whatever word you want to call it, the life force, the prana. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what name you want to give it. Again, quit looking at the illusion and look at reality here.